Hello and welcome back to Inquisitor Martyr. Last time we continued our Void Crusade and knocked out these two missions. Now, I actually need to consult my handy dandy chart here. We go here. Secure the artifact. Okay.
Electrospectral scans have revealed that the Xenos artifact is nearby, but it is protected. You must act. May the Omnisar guide your hand.
Yeah, I feel a lot better not, using Uther's Tarot for these. If it was, some random mission I'm picking off a planet in the normal star chart, I'd definitely be tossing some extra challenges my way. But considering this mode, they're like, yeah, you have only 3 fails. 3 full-on mission fails, and then the Void Crusade just ends. And I'm trying to be kind of min-maxy on this. Let's go this way. Hey, chest. What do we get? I didn't see anything big there. Oh well. Can't expect all of them to be ballin'. Just really hoping to get a one-shot. That's definitely the thing. I've said it before. If you're playing through this the first time, just grab the Crusader, because the plasma gun's cool, but they get a heavy plasma gun and you just flatten dudes with it, or the grenade launcher or the flamethrower. If they get a good variety of weapons that are actually quite powerful. Still haven't played any more of my Psyker. Like I said last time I brought it up, I keep telling myself, oh yeah, I'll play the Psyker more. Then I fire the game up and I'm like, I'd rather not. Toss Phoenix Psalm.
Overheat.
It's not terrible. I really need to actually use Psalms. I keep saying that too. I just wish there was more, Like how Diablo had the... I know for a fact Diablo 3 because I played that not too long ago again. But there's the unique gems you can get and slowly upgrade. I'd like something like that, because that always was fun. And it felt like even if you had everything you needed, you could always keep grinding for another upgrade to it. That plus all the levels of torment. But that reminds me of Borderlands. But with Borderlands, they tried to do that with mayhem levels, and the problem was, and still is, all you do is get a bigger number on your gun. Oh, this version of your gun deals 76,000 damage. Cool, so my enemies are tankier, and that's it. There's nothing I can slot in or adjust. There's no external things from the guns that I can do.
Loading.
I think that's where their whole design starts to really crumble. That plus the Calypso twins had the worst writing ever. I saw someone online was like, oh, hot take, I can't stand the comedy in Borderlands 3. It really insists upon itself. And everybody is just going, you know, that is the coldest of takes. I don't think anybody agrees that, or thinks that the writing is good. That is true. It's way too trying to be funny. Which is unfortunate, because it kind of scares me for Borderlands 4, since that's... Randy Pitchford effectively said, hey, it's in development. And I'm like, what are you gonna do to not do Borderlands 3 again? Because you really need to not make it another one like that. Because it's really unfortunate, because Borderlands 1 and 2, I put tons of hours in. I maxed out every character in both of those games. I did everything I could. But 3, I got the story done once and just said, I'm done. I tried to play a second time. I was trying to play with a friend of mine, and we got a little bit through the story and I just dropped the game because the writing, I just couldn't stand listening to it again. Calypso twins were just so terribly written. I get the point that they're supposed to be the, at the time, kind of like Jake Paul, Logan Paul, douche tuber kind of dudes. But God, it is just, it grinds on you so much. It's so tiring. And you look at like Handsome Jack, where he was a villain, but he was like a comical ass. Where it's not like, haha, I'm so funny, don't you see me being funny. It was just a dude who was able to talk a lot of shit. And that's such an important part. I'd heard he actually ad-libbed, like the voice actor ad-libbed most of his lines. And I was like, oh, that actually explains a lot. Haha, nerds, I'm invisible. Oh, you found me. That's not good. I will say, that's one thing I'm glad 40K doesn't suffer from. Like, 40K has bad writing, let's be real. Between plot armor, inconsistencies, stuff like that, it's bad. But it's nothing... It's nothing in the same vein as, like, Borderlands. It's not insisting on itself. It's edgy to the point where it can't try to be edgy, like some snidely Whiplash kind of, oh, look how evil and dark we are. It's like, you can't. There's literally skulls everywhere. There's 6 skulls in this environment on this screen. Not even including the 3 on my UI. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 on my UI. 9, 10, 11. Because I just looked up at my name. Yeah. Skulls and edginess like that, that's baked into 40K. So you can't sit here and try hard it, because you can't. And I think that's kind of an advantage they have, is the best you can do is just the horrors of war. And even then, it's not that terrifying or bad, considering all the stuff you see in other 40K stuff. The Daemon Kabbalah, or Demuncubala, whatever it is, made by Hansu, that is still... That is the one time where I've seen people be like, I think they might be trying a little too hard to go grimdark. short of that, it's all pretty solid. Yay, give me the thing. Can we speed this up a little? Oh, it's another touch the thing enemy spawn. That's fine. I do wish we'd get a good 40k MMO, but I think it would have to be a sandbox. Just because I look at stuff like Star Wars Galaxies, and if you could have players build their own, like, I guess it would be a base for their own little chapter of Space Marines or their own war band. I think that'd be really cool. You could have some skill trees into like tech priests and stuff. It would have to be a shooter first and foremost. You couldn't do a WoW style, here's a bunch of buttons you hit and wait for cooldowns kind of deal. Callous Hunt. Completing this mission will unlock bonuses. Oh, cool. And it's already at a penalty for me, so... okay.
The ends of the Imperium are infinite, and such a vast threat can only be fought with ingenuity. Kill the Masters, and you will render a sea of vermin helpless.
But I think a good sandbox MMO would do well for 40k. You could easily add new planets, new encounters, Space Hulks. I would no life Space Hulks. It just can't be like Space Hulk. You know, not just Deathwing Terminators beating their meat in every one of these things in hallways that their shoulders scrape against while Gene Stealers just walk up and cut them in half. Proper, you know, random gen dungeon delves that you can solo or take a team into. I think that would be really fun. I saw a guy on Twitter a while back. He was creating, or she, I don't know. I'm not here to judge. They were creating a system for the 40k RPG, the pen and paper RPG for it, that would allow you, as a GM, to create randomly generated Space Hulks. Still haven't released the full stuff. I'm waiting for that. Because I think that's really cool, because it's stuff where it's like, hey, you might find in part of the Space Hulk a Chaos warship of a certain model, and the Generatorum, the Slave Barracks, and an armory are intact. But they might have certain effects going on, like it's unpowered, so you can't see very well, or it's been parts exposed to the vacuum of space. One part's completely fine, one might have some rift to the warp causing problems that make it dangerous. Really cool stuff like that turns, you know, a normal game into almost a roguelike experience. And I think an MMO would do it. It wouldn't be doing itself proper justice without something of that nature. You know, you could have set ones if you want, like, certain curated raid experiences. But then there'd be other ones that are just random. You know, you could even, if you wanted to, you could have... There's a few ways you could do it. You could have them on a rotating thing where, you know, every week we generate brand new ones out of these tiles we have. And there could be like a really small one, medium large. You could have like an extra large or gargantuan one that's going to take you ages to clear, but has tons of rewards, but also tons of danger. Lots of stuff that could be done. It's just someone has to do it. And unfortunately, due to how the industry is, everybody's so risk adverse right now. Nobody's willing to take a chance on anything like that. I mean, look at Activision. They have 3 studios making 3 different Call of Duty games, and then they have another 3 or, honestly, I think it's like 6 or 7 studios that are just Warzone and Warzone support teams. It's 2,000 people making 3 Call of Duty games and then support staff. If that doesn't say we are so risk adverse it's going to kill us, I don't know what does. And I get it. Call of Duty prints money. But it hasn't been doing as well. I mean, look at how poorly people reviewed it. I mean, Black Ops Cold War, people have been just dumping on. For, honestly, good reason. But, you know, you gotta take some chances. And I think 40K is one of those franchises where I think you could get away with some stuff.
Executed and indicates essential info fragments, Inquisitor. Data has been inloaded.
Because it's not like how Disney is with Star Wars. From my understanding, Games Workshop has some things, you know, you can do this, 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 and this. There's certain things you can't do.
I must defeat the summoned creature.
But in terms of how insane for restrictions, they seem a lot more reasonable than Disney. Games Workshop's just like, yeah, you know, you can't have any, you know, obviously BS. Nobody's from the 2 missing legions. You can't do stuff like that. Everybody's got to be descended from an existing legion for lore purposes. Basic stuff that I don't think anybody's really going to complain about. Give me the loot. Okay, that was decent. Not great, but I just think part of it is brand recognition when it comes to 40K. People don't really recognize it. And part of it is, when you look at it, like, Blizzard was going to make a Warhammer game. That's where Warcraft came from. And the contract fell through, and they made something that outdid Warhammer. Same thing with StarCraft. It takes pretty heavy influence from 40K. You see it with, look at Warhammer in general. The 8-pointed star for Chaos is from, I think, Elric. Those books. I think it's Michael Moorcock. Also, haha, funny name. His work. 40K draws a lot of heavy inspiration from. Which, you know, it causes problems when the stuff you're either drawing inspiration from or stuff that draws inspiration from you outshines you. To my understanding, in Europe, 40K is very, very well known. But that's also because, like, in the UK, that's where Games Workshop is. That is their headquarters. Here in the good old US of A, it's not that well known. Yeah, people see it in, you know, hobby shops and stuff, but that's about as far as it goes. I mean, come on, what was the last big 40K, like, the last big game was Dawn War 3 and that flopped. In terms of the last big visual thing outside of games, the movie that they did a while back, and that movie was really bad. I do remember the bit where one of the Space Marines goes, let the... what was it? Not the apothecary, let the chaplain sniff out the taint, which, of course, me as like, haha, taint. But the movie was honestly pretty bad. I can't even remember the name of it. I watched it. It just doesn't stick with you. But I do think 40K needs something. They need something to really stand out. Especially considering their track record for games as of late has not been good. I mean, even Necromunda, like a Hired Gun. Hired Gun, I've said before, it's not bad, but it's definitely not... I'm not sitting here telling all my friends, you need to buy this game. It's definitely a game where it's like, it serves its purpose. It's cool if you know the lore, because then you can point things out and have fun, like additional fun with it. But if you're just picking it up because you're like, hey, I need a new game, and you don't really care about 40K in general, you get bored. You know, you're just like, oh, okay, I don't know who these Orlok guys are, I don't know who Escher is. Is that like MC Escher? You know, am I gonna get some weird staircases? But that's just the issue. God, I really would want a good shooter MMO. I mean, that's effectively like a Destiny clone, just more sandbox, which is fine by me. Destiny fails in that aspect. They needed to make the game a sandbox, and rather than give people freedom of choice, they're just like, nope, we're just gonna railroad you into things to see and then just push you on out. God, now I really want a good dungeon delve into a Space Hulk. Space Hulks are so cool.
Imperial reconnaissance forces located.
In terms of lore, they're incredibly basic. Just, hey, stuff smashes together and forms a ball.
Reconnaissance force relieved.
But it's so cool. With their lore being like, yeah, we've been losing ships for literally over 10,000 years. So the chances are you could find a Space Hulk with ships that are up to 10,000 years old. You could find a ship that has the surviving crew, the descendants, living on it. And that's so cool. Oh boy, grenade slinging champions. I love having no will or no suppression whatsoever. But yeah, I just Space Hulks are so cool, and you can find anything on them. Orcs, Tyranids. I bet the lore would eventually include, like, a Necron ship or something crashed into one, or a chunk of a blasted tomb world stuck in one. You could probably find some Catan shards or something like that. You could find cool stuff. I bet there's ones with Tau stuck in them, or Tau ships. Eldar, obviously there's gonna be Eldar. So many options. You could even find ones that could be effectively battlegrounds between factions. Or you could find maybe like a functioning webway gate on one. Man, I really like the idea of weekly rotation Space Hulks. Because it gives people time, like, you have your YouTubers who are gonna know life at the second, like, server reset hits, or, like, your weekly reset. They're gonna go in, start making videos and streams, and then by, like, Wednesday, probably, you're gonna have all these guides of, like, hey, this week's, you know, gargantuan Space Hulk, you know, Enmity of Damnation has this, we found these secret areas. Next week we don't know what it's gonna be. And that'd be so cool. Because then, even for bosses, you could do a Nemesis-style system, which I know I use that a lot, especially off videos. Like, I compare a lot of stuff to the Nemesis system, because I like the idea of just introducing either enemies that adapt to players, or just randomly generated bosses that have enough to them to actually make them feel unique. God, it'd be so cool. Imagine fighting through, like, a heavily Tyranid-infested Space Hulk, only to find at the core it's Space Marine, or like Chaos Space Marines. And even then, the final boss is a clone of Fabius Bile. And this has all just been one of his clone's experiments. Ah, that'd be so cool. Take that tarot. But that is all for now. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit the like button. It helps out the channel a lot. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.